The cold wind blows across your face as it greets you when you open your windows. You feel the sensation waft across your body, a nice change of sensation from the usual dry, hot weather we usually feel before this season. It must be that time of year again. Welcome to the Christmas season. Children eagerly await this beautiful occasion, hoping Santa Claus will give them their favorite toys, gadgets, or whatever it is that is on their wish lists. Majority of people tend to be nicer around this season, especially when they recall their nostalgic memories. Even yours truly feels as giddy as a young kid for Christmas. I recall those memories where I would turn on my radio during those cold December nights and listen to the angelic singing of Christmas carols. The announcer regales us with their stories from childhood. They continue with the story, and the more you listen, the more the audience becomes engaged and interested, because something about the story resonates with them, and thus a feeling of connection can be felt. While others sat around the radio, I would be listening in my room. I would lay my head on a pillow and eagerly waited for the story to continue. I felt at ease and relaxed as I heard the narrator begin to speak. This Christmas story has been told to me countless times by my grandfather as he sat me on his lap and told me that it was okay to simply close your eyes and imagine the story taking place. The narrator spoke in his gentle voice. I took a breath and closed my eyes. As he continued, back when I was small, we used to have this big, ornate Christmas tree. It was big enough to fit in our living room. The branches were a beautiful shade of green as the healthiest shade of leaves on a tree. It was so tall that it would nearly kiss the ceiling of the room. The decorations were well polished and hung on the branches, and the lights would all flicker in an almost hypnotic pattern right before your eyes. It was a calming sight, and nostalgic feelings of the season began to flow in again. As a kid, I would often play underneath that Christmas tree, and you could smell the Christmas tree, and it felt as natural as being in a forest, with even a light hint of mint. It was very refreshing indeed. And come Christmas week, the gifts would be laid beneath this Christmas tree. Arranged beautifully by my parents and grandpa. And once Christmas came, the kids in the house would simply lunge at the gifts, shrieking happily that they got their presents and thanking Santa Claus and their parents for the gifts. One particular season, however, my grandfather noticed that the Christmas tree, as he began to assemble it, he began to notice that it has withered, or that it has begun to lose its appeal. The once beautiful green branches had its fair share of wear and tear. Some of the branches have been clipped or even snapped and bent. Some of the leaves have fallen off, making a mess inside the box. The top part of the Christmas tree, where the star would usually go on top of, is missing. And the base is missing one leg, making it awkwardly stand. It was a mess. And there were only 5 more days until Christmas, and all the stores were full. Most of them were reserved. So my grandfather left on his bike to try and find a store on his own, because the parents were off to make the wish list of their children come true. From store to store, my my grandfather would desperately look for a Christmas tree that he could place in his home. But every other store would turn him away. He was unable to find a single store that was willing to give up a Christmas tree, and it was the 23rd of Christmas season of December. On that day, he was very close to giving up hope, and he notices his grandson was being sad and was sitting alone on the couch. His grandson always wanted to play underneath the Christmas tree that his grandfather would tell him about. And that made him even more determined to find a Christmas tree. Until he came across a little girl who was selling miniature Christmas trees on the sidewalk. This little girl was trying to make enough money so she could give her lonely mother a present. The Christmas trees that she was selling were handmade, but they were only as big as a desk ornament. It was barely big enough. It was only as small as a 1.5 bottle of soft drinks that you could buy almost anywhere. The base of the Christmas tree was made from popsicle sticks, and the branches and leaves were made from felt paper. The grandfather asked the kid if he could buy all of the Christmas trees from her. The little girl was so excited and gave him the entire box of Christmas trees that she made. On the 24th, while everyone else was sleeping, he carefully placed the Christmas trees in such a way that it would look as if all those trees turned into one big tree. He arranged them very beautifully. And he placed the gifts below this Christmas tree. And as He sat on the sofa. He began to close his eyes. And when he awoke, he realized that it was Christmas morning. The family came down to the living room and noticed all of the Christmas trees that he bought were on top of each of the presents. And one of the Christmas trees was hanging above the ceiling. And the lights were all around, and the lights were on the walls of the living room. Although they didn't have a big Christmas tree, the effort of the grandfather was a genuine gesture of love. And the family understood this. The grandson rushed to his grandfather and thanked him. And he didn't realize that he was underneath the Christmas tree that he wanted to play underneath for so long. He didn't realize it, but he was already playing with his brand new toy underneath that very Christmas tree. And it was his favorite memory of all time. Christmas is a time that is not just about giving and receiving, but it is about giving people hope. A hope to reach for something new or something beautiful. Much like the grandfather, we give ourselves to those that we love. By every present that we give, a part of us belongs to them now. And that part is our heart. Our intentions for giving should not be of obligation, but of genuine kindness and sincerity. We often forget that this season is something that should not be relegated to just one day. And it is a simple reminder that on this very day, that someone will eventually give us an even greater gift down the line.